All right, let's get into it. Games. Today we are doing a gaming time capsule to represent console gaming. Is that how you would?
Yeah.
We kind of went back and forth on how we're exactly like labeling this.
What is this that we're doing? Yeah. So the idea, I think it'd be a fun thing for us to do, is basically for all the consoles that we at least, in our lifetime, or relatively in our lifetime, it's like, what if we did a time capsule list where for each console we're picking one game. All of these games collectively are going in this like metaphorical time capsule.
We should put them literally in a time capsule.
Oh my God,
bury it.
Some of these games would be incredibly hard to get, I feel like. But they're going in a metaphorical time capsule, and they are like, so we want to get a collection of games across time and across the big three, and like that really encompass like gaming for us,
yeah.
and like what we would want to preserve, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go necessarily just all the best, maybe, but get a little. Maybe we want a variety.
Those of us with taste are probably leaning on the higher quality ones, and other people are bring other things to the table. But we have this like kind of broken out generationally. Personally, I kind of hate the like Gen 5, Gen 1, because they start the gen with like, I don't know, a Magnavox in someone's basement. And I mean,
that is what it is. You know what
guess. I mean? So do you go by the? Do you know how to clock them off?
No, I think we could just do part one. These are the games that we're covering.
Yeah,
because we're not going to go through all the games obviously in just this one episode. That would be far too long, far too complex. So I think we're breaking it out into different parts.
Yeah. I don't have a great labeling for this. I labeled it as like old as fuck and then old, which honestly, like that resonates with me.
I do not. It is not the sentiment that all of us here.
Today we will be covering old as fuck and old consoles. If you're like, oh my God, is that old? I think you're probably old, and you probably already knew that before you left the comment. But yeah, we are lumping these as the NES, the SNES, the Game Boy, and then the next jump being the PlayStation and the N64. And those are the consoles that we're covering.
Yeah.
So we are going to start console by console. We individually have our secret lists of 3 picks to throw into the ring.
Some of these I couldn't limit it down to 3, so I'm hoping
that's wild. Really, you, Mr. I hate old games, game old.
Some of the again, it's about building a time capsule. It's not about just like my favorite games. We're not doing our favorite games across time. We're doing games that really truly can encompass gaming.
I feel like, especially with these older ones, this is like, of the 8 games I had, which 3 are getting propped up.
That is fair.
Something I noticed a lot doing this before we get into the NES picks is a lot of my older gaming is thanks to handhelds and ports to handhelds, because I was not, like, I did not have an NES. I have the NES Mini up here on the video version, which funnily enough, I'm like, yeah, I should go play some of those good NES games. And the NES Mini is like, from the grave of the basket I fished it out of, and I'm like, you're just a display toy, you're not a console. And it's like, no, I was meant to be a console, not a Funko Pop.
Meant to be played.
And I'm like, no, you're a Funko
not
Pop.
Display.
Exactly. No, you're for display, not for play. Okay, so NES, we want to go one back and forth. How do you want to do this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I throw out Super Mario Bros. 3. I choose you.
I mean, to be honest, that was also my number 1 pick.
Yeah, this is like the no thought head empty pick. It's such a good game.
It's so good. It's. I don't want to say we're locking it in right away, but I think there's a strong argument. But also maybe not, because we're some of the other consoles also have really good games. So
it's so good I forgot that it was on the NES. It's actually it makes me sick to think that this was on the NES.
Really?
It looks so good. And maybe I'm just like, I'm not recognizing the beauty of the NES. But like, because I played this on, I think, the GBA.
Yeah, I think I played most of these Mario games originally on GBA.
Yeah.
With the like Super Mario Advance series.
But it's so beautiful looking.
It's so good. It's stupid good.
It's so fun. It is the happiest game on earth.
I think it is the second best 2D Mario game, which is saying
what do you
something.
have as the first?
We'll get to that.
All right. Well, I guess real quick, and it might be hard to pin down because I think when's the last time you played Super Mario Bros. 3?
More recent than you would think.
Okay.
But not
not as recent as it should be. We should probably, I think once a year we should play this game and we'd live longer.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You think you're getting sick? You bust out Super Mario Bros. 3, you'll be right as rain.
Yeah, it's the Sprite Vicks Vapor of gaming.
Yeah, I think I was at some bar or something that like not recently, but like in the last like 2 years, and there was like a NES in the corner or like some 1,000 games in one kind of thing in the corner, and so I probably like picked it up and just did like a world there kind of thing. The other game, also can't forget, Super Mario Bros. Classic.
Yeah,
that World 1-1 is something that
is
the reason why this is on my list.
So is that on your list?
Is on my list as an option. Like we're throwing out options here.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that is an option is because World 1-1 is, I think, like so classic, so good, so core to gaming that it would be kind of sad to lose that.
Also, real quick, back to Super Mario Bros. 3. I was looking this up. How long to beat? 5 hours. Bring back these short ass games. Oh my god, 5 hours. Completionist 6. It's like, hell yeah, that's what I like to see. That's what I'm trying to get into. 1-1 is cool, but it's like, I just feel like,
and 1-2 when you're getting pushed and stuff.
Yeah, and got 1-3.
Like, they're all. I mean,
they're great. It's a great game, but I feel like it is. It's very stripped down, which is like, that's classic Mario. It's foundational for sure, but I think like, not that we have to versus both of them, and we'll get to it more once we have like all the games out there to look at. But Super Mario Bros. 3, I think, really touches on the playfulness that Mario is able to embody through his abilities. Like, sure, obviously he's always had abilities like the mushroom and all that, but it's like in the fire flower. But this was like seeing him on that cover.
Yeah.
His little his little ears.
Yeah.
And he's finally free. Yeah. He's there. He's having a good time, and I'm having a good time with him. And like Super Mario Bros. 1, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, oh, wouldn't it be like a nice homage to like boot that up? But you're not like excited to play it in the same way. At least I'm not excited to play it in the same way.
That is true. But man, again, that 1-1, 1-2, 1-3 combo is so good. And you go in a little cat, you go down the pipe, bloop, bloop, bloop. It's like it's where it all started. You know what I mean?
But also like the art is so much uglier than in Mario Bros. 3.
All right. So fair and fine. Do you have any other games?
Yeah.
All right. Like you said, let's get all the games
that's
out.
One of yours.
Maybe that is one of mine.
Did you also have Mario Bros. 3 in there?
I did.
Okay.
I brought 4. So
there's always someone who brings 4 to the gunfight,
I brought 4. Fight. One of them is weaker than others. It is just purely from a historical standpoint. I did not actually like playing this game, but it'd be a lot.
You want to bring it into the conversation?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I had Kirby's Adventure.
Wow. All right. Did not have that.
Yeah, this I played. Let me kind of fact check myself on it's tough when it's like older game where it's like, oh, I played a port and it's like, yeah, I played this on also again the GBA or the Game Boy potentially. It's same difference. Yeah, it's just it's a fun Kirby game. Like Kirby's great. He's I think Kirby's level design and playfulness is always like very tight and consistent. It's not as I think it's not as dynamic as something like Super Mario Bros. 3 or like Mario in general, because like Mario just controls in a way that allows for him to kind of hit like precision jumps in like a different way. Like Kirby, is inherently like, talk about floaty characters. He float.
Yeah, that is the whole thing.
He float, but he also play. He's adventurous. Yeah, like I will say like also it's tough for me to get like too specific because all the Kirby games kind of blend together. It's like, how much is this like? There's Kirby's Adventures, and there's like Kirby's Dream Land was also big for me on the Game Boy. But yeah, like Kirby's a great time, and it's like I think also again artistically, it really holds up. Like there are such like beautiful looking games. Yeah, any render of this is gonna look good, and it has like a lot of fun depth to like the level design or like the level visual. Maybe not the design, because I'm not sure if you're doing any like go in the door and move back kind of thing. But you're not really a Kirby boy, are you?
I liked Nightmare in Dreamland. That was like my Kirby game.
Yeah,
it was done on the GBA, I think it was. So, but outside of that, I like Kirby and like Smash Bros. Like that was my main for like a long time. Outside of that, Kirby Air Ride.
Kirby Air Ride, yeah. Did you play that like at the time when it came out?
Oh yeah,
because
I was
someone
a big
told
Kirby
me
Air Ride fan.
Someone the other day, I forgot who it was. It was someone from MinMax was like, yeah, I played that game recently, and it kind of sucks.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think.
But it was fun to like be.
Yes, it was fun to be Kirby on a star, racing around, shooting things, killing things. From what I remember. But like, to say I'm a Kirby fan is a bit much. But I've played Kirby games and definitely enjoyed them.
I think too, like what's so fun. I mean, this is kind of true of all Kirby games. Again, I'm looking at the sort of people's Let's Plays on it to like refresh my memory. It's really fun playing with the different abilities and weapons in terms of exploring a level, and that's kind of like what Kirby offers. Like, because Kirby's, a very different kind of platformer, which is also really cool. Like, there's not a lot of platformers that have a big level of differentiation, because it's like at the end of the day, you're just jumping, and they're like, well, he jumps kind of different. And it's like, and with that, is a lot of like newness that you don't necessarily get, and they do rely a lot on, okay, you have the the stars that you can like hit, and then they hit like the surrounding blocks, and then it's like, at one point you can become a freaking spaceship and just shoot things, and it's like, and again, it looks so beautiful, and it's so good. It's so well designed. Almost every Kirby game kind of eats, because that's what he does as his power. But yeah, Kirby's in there as a pick for me. What's your next one?
My next one, which I know you like the game, but I don't know how easy or hard it would be to get you to pick it for this. Classic Tetris.
Oh, Tetris. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that. I didn't list it because I feel like
there's other Tetris, but my thing is I feel like Tetris needs to be in this time capsule. But where is it going to be?
Yeah, I think Tetris belongs later.
I mean?
I feel like Tetris will return, kind of vibe.
I mean,
because also like I believe, and I probably barely played it on it. Again, maybe the NES Mini, I booted up and was like, let's play Tetris real quick. But I believe it also like had a little bit less going on than like its later iterations. Like the game, like couldn't you only move in like one direction or something like that?
That sounds familiar. There's been so many different like flavors of Tetris throughout the years that they all do kind of blend a little bit for me. But I agree that I can name you other better Tetrises that have come out since this one on the NES. But my thing is those are going up against fiercer competition in like for those slots. And I don't think Tetris later is going to win against anything. I think the only chance Tetris has of getting in this time capsule
is
in these earlier generations when there were only like 8 good games.
I think it's wild to say that. Well, real quick, my last one, I don't even like it like that. I put Metroid in there. It's like, I don't probably barely play that old ass Metroid. Metroid's cool. Like, I ain't trying, I ain't trying to drag Metroid. I love Metroid, but I'm like, do I love the first Metroid? Ooh,
yeah,
like
exactly.
Maybe I played like a little bit, but I don't really like, Yeah, not saying it's not good, but it's just, there wasn't a lot in the NES collection that really resonated with me outside of like Kirby and Mario. And I didn't feel like putting just like, no offense to your Mario Bros, but I'm like, I didn't want to put Mario Bros in there because it's like, so I'm like, I threw Metroid out there, like tip of the hat, Metroid.
I threw Donkey Kong on mine for similar reasons, where it's like, I don't actually want this to be here, but I do want to give it at least a little shout out that like, the Jumpman, the climbing the stairs, jumping over barrels.
But also at the end of the day, we're only picking one game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think, what are we even talking about? It's Super Mario Bros. 3. But I get what you mean. Tetris won't, because Tetris won't be the one later.
I think at this point.
But are you trying to put Tetris for the NES above Mario Bros. 3?
It's not for the NES. It's for gaming.
Yeah, I'd rather have Mario Bros. 3 though.
Really? What about these next like 3 consoles? All have other good Mario platforming games. But
the thing is, like, we don't even like Tetris on the NES like that.
Who doesn't?
I mean, like, when you're reaching for Tetris,
you give me Tetris in any iteration. On any iteration, I fucking love that.
I mean, it's again, it's not the best game, because if it was the best game, I guess Tetris would be there, because Tetris is one of the best games of all time. I think the only game better than Tetris is like Breath of the Wild and like Portal 2. I think. Yeah, like Tetris is like, but it is tough because I do prefer that Game Boy version of Tetris.
All right, here's this. Maybe how about this? How about we go through this whole part of games, because there's some stuff on later consoles that I think could influence what we say here.
Okay, you're right. I think though our front runners are Tetris and Super Mario Bros. 3. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that is totally true.
Yep. Yeah, they're fantastic games. Yeah, I love Tetris. I would take, like, again, if it was just ranking like better game, yeah, Tetris wins because it's just literally better. But Super Mario Bros. 3.
Super Mario Bros. 3 is I mean, it's one of the, it's a GOAT.
And I think Tetris can come up on a different one, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Let's get into the SNES. What do you have? What's your first game up here?
Speaking of all this, Super Mario World. I think Super Mario World is better than Super Mario Bros. 3.
I have Super Mario World here as well. Speak on Super Mario World.
Super Mario World was everything that I loved about Super Mario Bros. 3, and then just like taken to the next level, right? Where you get the little leaf, you get the little Tanuki suit. In this one, you get a cape, which gives you basically all the same abilities. Except this one also has Yoshis that you can get. It has a map that has like these like secret paths in it, and like a secret star world and all that. Like, Super Mario World is the single best Mario game, and also the best 2D Mario game. I put it over Odyssey, which is like, you already know, I hold Odyssey to such a high bar.
Which, it's never too late to knock Odyssey down a peg. Because I just feel like they're like, I don't know, like, spin in a circle, here's a moon. I'm like, this isn't very authored of you. Like, I mean, that's
fair. I'll give you that.
Some of the moons were whack.
Super Mario World, everything hits. I don't know if there's a bad time I've had ever played.
Though I promise if I replayed Odyssey, I'd be like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, you would.
Because it is really good. But I just think that, like, let's not act like all these amazing platformers don't have some flaws. But I will say, Mario World, probably not a flaw. This is a flawless video game. Even just like the evolution of the world design is very fun too. Like the coins kind of being like that elongated like shape. His little, I think, how long has he been doing that like spin? Was that new to World, or is that?
I think he did a spin with the Tanuki suit.
Okay, so
he could smack you with his tail, kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, like the jump spin.
Oh,
not like the attack spin.
Might have been this game.
The jump spin is
the like brick breaking.
Yeah, the like
one
I don't know how to really Google that.
Yeah,
the little his little he just spins on his own. Like I think he only has to be big. Is the only thing. Like he has to be like Super Mario, not regular Mario. Some great yeet scenes in this game too. He really just gets launched out of those pipes like fucking Donkey Kong. It's crazy.
Honestly, I also think it has like the best aesthetic too. Like it's bright, it's colorful, but it's not like full on cartoony. It's got that like paper mache, that stage play thing going on. It's just everything about
it's
this
very
game
cute. I like that there's I forgot the name for this enemy, but the little like dragon guy, you like step on him and he gets like smooshed. He's like held in he's like halved. You hit him like twice to kill him, or hit him once with I think like a fireball or something.
It sounds familiar, but
some really probably one of the most thrilling checkpoints that exists
things you
go through like it like has like It's almost like you're running a race.
Little bar,
yeah. The little bar is there. There's something thrilling about that. Oh yeah, I do love Yoshi in this game as well.
They have the different Yoshis. They got you can hit these blocks that then change levels because it opens up like new paths and stuff. Like,
what's the deal with Yoshi? This sounds like a Seinfeld bit. What's the deal? What's the deal with Yoshi and the apples again? Does it just like can you spit it out with like can you throw up juice on them on people or I don't remember.
So if you eat certain like turtles, like if you eat a red shell turtle, you can like spit fire. I think the blue makes you fly or something like that, and the green you just kind of like spit back out and then it like bounces around and stuff. The fruit, I think if you eat like a certain amount of fruit, you get either like an egg or a 1-up or something. I'm blanking on it a little bit. There is something with eating the fruit.
Yeah, there's something with these fruit. Like I'm watching this the classic little Let's Plays or whatever. I'm like, there's something with eating this fruit or whatever. But yeah, the fire stuff is cool. I forgot about the shell integration stuff. Tough to remember when enemies appeared in what game. But definitely a lot of fun enemies in here. We got the football guy.
Yeah, the football guy.
Is he new to this? Like I need that Mario encyclopedia that I got. It's such a hard thing to Google. The new enemies in Mario World. If this game came out today, they'd be like, here are 8 new enemies in Mario World, like, you know, according to this preview or whatever. Yeah, no, it might be a little tough to find, but yeah, I would also agree that I think, well, I guess I technically have to replay both of them to really see. Fine, I'll replay Mario Bros. 3 and Mario World.
It's a glad to twist your arm to get to that.
But yeah, it's pretty good. I have that one listed as well. I'm trying to keep track of the ones you have listed. Speaking of Yoshi, I got Yoshi's Island, aka Super Mario World 2? Yeah, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. If you like Mario World, check out Super Mario World 2, which is nothing like Mario World, but it maybe made you buy the game?
Probably. My thing is,
careful.
What what's your why we gotta have it for this game?
Yeah. So this is actually probably the game that I know the most of all the games I've spoken of in terms of how often I've played it, how recently I've played it. And talking about games that are perfect, Yoshi's Island I would throw it out there for. Yeah. And what did it make you do? It gave you a sense. It gave you a sense of urgency.
No, it didn't. It gave me
whatever happened to stress as a child. This might have been the first time some of you experienced stress. If you didn't have like a bad childhood, this was like your first experience with raising those cortisone levels. But not to sound too repetitive, so I won't talk on the art style too much because I feel like every game, like the art's so pretty. It's like, okay, yeah, like a lot of these games have really good art. This game's no exception though. The art is incredible, very timeless. Like one of the most timeless looks for a retro game. The OST is, I think, one of the greatest of all time. It is so iconic, so cool, spooky in all the right spots, playful where it needs to be. There's also just like a lot of surprises and secrets in Yoshi's Island, in terms of like different ways, which I think that's what's kind of cool about Yoshi's Island. It's probably the only thing that it has in common with Super Mario World and Bros. And those games. A big part of the ethos of the design of Mario is it's easy, but if you want to be extra, maybe you can find some secrets. But I think Yoshi really leans into that like tenfold. There are so many like hidden passageways and bonus like secret levels you can unlock. Trying to get a 100 score in a level unless you're using like even with using rewind, to be honest, it is one of the hardest feats that you can do as a gamer. It is so difficult to do that. So there's a bit of challenge there if you want it. But yeah, there's just like a lot of fun, cool stuff going on. I think too, the bosses, some of like the best boss design that I've experienced. I think it's really smart to have it just be, it's a regular enemy that gets like, you know, what's his name? The little wizard guy.
Oh, Kamek?
Yeah. Like he comes in and like makes them big and it's like, cool. Now you have like this new sort of iteration of them. The fight against Baby Bowser is not only like one of the most thrilling experiences I've had in a video game, it looks incredible. Like look up this fight right now and tell me that this game does not belong on this list. This also leans into a bit of, and I don't know if it's Yoshi's first time having this experience, maybe because it's like not his only game, but like, you know, it's the start of his franchise, but it's also leaning into another design, like design ethos that Nintendo has, which is having their characters transform. Yoshi gets to do a lot of cool transformations in this, like becoming a little like mole guy that digs. He can be a helicopter. Sure, I know some, you know, the haters might say like, aren't those sequences a little annoying, a little slow? They can be a little tough, but you can rerun them pretty easily. Like if you want a completionist, collect all the coins and stuff. You have also really cool stuff with Baby Mario. Like Baby Mario can get that little star and sort of have like this different platforming sequence. So I feel like on its face, it's like, oh, I don't know, like you're Yoshi and you throw eggs. It's like, yeah, if you're an ignorant slut, you think
throwing eggs is also pretty good. Let's not discount the throwing eggs.
Yes, and there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it on the auto, like just catch it, or you can like hold it and hard aim it. And yeah, I think they get a lot of juice out of that orange. Like you're not just throwing eggs at enemies. You can like consume them, spit them back out. There's like different interactions with the eggs. This also, I don't know if it's the game that introduces it, but this game features Fat Shy Guy. Are you familiar with our Lord and Savior, Fat Shy Guy? He is now actually I think maybe Paper Mario introduced Fat Shy Guy. So again, don't have me about Fat Shy Guy. Okay. But specifically Fat Shy Guy in Yoshi's Island. He was great. And you know what he did? They could have just said, oh, he a big boy That's it. Maybe he's a little harder to kill. No, they went for when you went. I think because can you eat Fat Shy Guy? You can get like a fat egg from Fat Shy Guy or something like that. Maybe I'm butchering that slightly, but like fat eggs definitely exist in the game. I just can't remember. I'm like, can you really just eat Fat Shy Guy? It feels like you'd have to do more work to do that. I think the game also has like a really cool combination of being very cute, and it's just kind of maybe the core of one of the things that has defined gaming for me, which is cute stuff, but actually it wants to kill you. And that's like a lot of the game. Like the game has stuff that on its face seems really cute, and then it's like, actually this is very deadly. You know, things like the enemy that's just like a flower with a bunch of petals, but like the petals can basically like end up shooting out at you. But yeah, every screen of Yoshi's Island looks like you gave a coloring book to the most talented color person that like you've ever like colorist or whatever. You know, coloring book person. I don't know what is a good word for that. That doesn't sound vaguely racial. Yeah, the colorer. Yeah, because colorist, that just makes it sound like you're racist against different shades of people, which is really bad. But you know, like you think about those people that are really talented at like they'll do like the gradations and like the shading and all that. That's how Yoshi's Island is. With like the ways that it even just depicts like a night sky having like a gradient to it is so cool. Yeah, there's just like so many really smart and interesting interactions like throughout. Stuff like, you know, I'm looking at just even like a GIF of this game where like you can have Shy Guys fall onto spikes and then you can run over their heads so that you don't hit the spike. Like there's so many cool, smart, interesting things going on in this game. And it's also just fun to play. Like obviously all the secrets and stuff, like that's cool, that's extra stuff, but like it is a fun, exciting game that really, really lives up. Yeah, this game's incredible. But what was your experience with Yoshi's Island? Did you play much of it?
I never played it.
Oh my God,
I didn't like
Isaiah.
it.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it.
All of that to say, I appreciate what it did.
You didn't like it.
I didn't like it much.
Is it because of the baby? You don't want to pick up the baby?
The baby was annoying. Baby Mario was just annoying. It was dumb. And again, this is coming off of Super Mario World.
It was
where I'm
dumb.
like,
He was separated from his brother. They're trying to save lives.
Even as a kid, I was like, oh, Super Mario World, this is like one of the greatest things ever in my lifetime. And you want me to go? And this guy who I was just playing as, he's a badass. He's jumping. He's just flying. He's doing all types of stuff. Now he's a baby, and he's a whiny baby at that. And I'm playing this dinosaur that I sacrifice on a whim at any moment just to make it further.
You're not just playing a dinosaur.
Who's a baby?
You're playing a bunch of dinosaurs. It's Yoshi's Island. Every level is a new Yoshi picks up the baby.
Yeah.
So Yoshi Play is like a million characters in this game.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
That's wild. But it was just the baby annoyed you, like he got hit.
Yeah,
like,
the
I don't want
baby
to pick
annoyed
this
me.
baby.
The mechanics, like,
have you thought about getting better at the game so you didn't lose the baby as much? Because I feel like that's the thing too. Everyone always complains with the baby. How often y'all dropping this baby? Because I don't drop the baby that often.
I also don't really love the art style. Like, I think it's cool, but it's so jarring. Like, it's not smooth and clean. It's like you said. It's like you gave someone. You said it looks like you gave the best colorist coloring book and told him to fill it in. Yeah, we got some saying
colorist because it's not the right word for it.
The best colorer coloring book, and then they like colored it in. I feel like it's like you gave a.
Oh, actually, correction. Colorist, that is the right word for it. It just is hard because it also means someone that's like racist in a specific way. But yeah, colorist. In comics, a colorist is responsible for adding color to black and white line art. I thought that would, but when I said it, I was like, I don't like how that comes out.
The color. I feel like that's like. It's more like when you give a 6-year-old child crayons and tell them to not only fill in the colors but also draw the line art. Like
how talented is a 6-year-old? If you think a 6-year-old can crank this out,
a 6-year-old with very good like hand-eye coordination, but their art style, their art execution. If our really
child starts drawing this,
some years,
we're sending them straight to like an art academy.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
what do you mean, Isaiah?
Totally agree with that, but. It's just
so good. The hills in the background sometimes have smiley faces.
Well, how about this?
But thank you for speaking your truth. It couldn't have been. Actually, I think for you it was easy because like you don't really care like that, which also like that's valid. I don't need everybody to like my games.
I don't want to start getting into the sort of trades that we're going to be doing to get what we want in this time capsule yet. So, but but I have offers to make once we're actually like choosing things.
Yeah. What's your next one? Because so far we got Super Mario. I also had Super Mario World as well. So
okay.
I only have one left to share, which is also another. Did I even play this game? I'm not really sure.
My next one is Super Metroid. I think.
Okay.
You said you had Metroid for the NES, or you considered Metroid for the NES. To me, I only like really even half considered it. I was like, oh no, Super Metroid is just such a better game. It was more fun. I played it in recent years, like
Yeah, you played it. Did you just play it through
in our old apartment? So
okay. Was it through like do they have it on like Nintendo Online?
No, I found a way to play it. Yeah, I found a way to play it. And,
you don't gotta say anymore. That's all right.
And it was good. It was great. It was a fantastic time. Great game. But I did Metroid. I did Metroid, Super Metroid, and then Metroid Fusion. All three of them are great. This one I think was one that really stuck with me.
So you think this one's the best one?
I don't think it's the best one, but I think they got progressively better with like each one. From what I remember also, right? I think I messed up and said earlier that like Super Mario World was the stage play one. Well, like, no, that's Bros 3. And it's like, so my memory is always a little faulty.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Super Metroid, solid time. I remember playing it and I remember having a good time with it. I don't remember having a better time than like some of these other games, but
for Super Metroid,
showing it out. Yeah, throwing it out there.
Yeah, I don't know for sure that I played Super Metroid. I gotta be honest with you. It kind of feels like maybe I did. And the thing is, like, Samus is always fighting the same kind of shit. So it's just like,
for real.
It's like, girl, I don't really know where we were at. Like, I have the same problem with Castlevania. Like games that had like big franchises, and I'm like, I remember playing this, and it's like, but what did you play from it? I'm like, it was Metroid, like with the exception of Metroid Fusion. Metroid Fusion is like my golden child of gaming. I think that game is incredible. I'm a little scared to replay it because I worry it'll be a lot harder than I remembered it being, and that'll piss me off. So it's like maybe it's good as a memory. My other pick was also just kind of a like, did I even really play the Donkey Kong Country?
I had that. That was my other pick.
Was that you there for the honor of Donkey Kong? Because you don't rock with the Kong, right?
I don't necessarily like the games like that. Like I like them fine. But I do remember playing Donkey Kong Country as a kid and like having some fun with it. And again, it's about the time cap. I'm here for the time capsule.
I played Land more than I think Country, but I think I did play because Land was like it was like a version of Country, actually, which is weird.
Really?
Yeah, I was Googling it before the show, and I'm like, what's up with like, and now the Donkey Kong keep getting remade and stuff, so I'm like, oh, HD 2D collection. Yeah. I was like, who's what, the whatever. And yeah, apparently Land was like it slightly changes like the level design, the bosses, but it's like based on Country. It's like it condenses, this is Wikipedia, condenses the side-scrolling gameplay of the SNES Donkey Kong Country for handheld, with different level design and boss fights. And there's like some other maybe stuff that's slightly different or whatever. But so that's kind of my like light asterisk where it's like, how much did I play Country versus I played Land, I mean, I got Land now. You saw me playing Land the other day, which I feel like you seeing me play Land, it wasn't really like the best sell on Country, but bigger screen, be able to see colors, like it just kind of,
You ain't gotta sell me on Country. You gotta really sell me on Land.
Well, Land is just like a different version of Country, but maybe it's a worse version. I don't know.
Exactly.
But the worst version is still a good time to me. So, Donkey Kong Country, tip of the hat. I think the thing with Donkey Kong is I feel like it does kind of get better with time, the series. So, like, again, my favorite Donkey Kong is still Tropical Freeze. So it's just kind of like, well, and I can maybe like concede some of the, admittedly, maybe like Wii games that were like ports to the 3DS or something, but like Donkey Kong Country Returns, also banger, so it's like, okay, Donkey Kong Country, yes, but also like, we got better. If someone wanted to get into Donkey Kong, I would not say go play Donkey Kong Country. I would probably just tell them to play Tropical Freeze or Land Returns, Country Returns, or whatever, and that would probably be where I end it. So it is kind of like it's so old that we're like, we kind of like, it's not as drastic as like playing really, really old Zelda, where it's like the same thing but very recontextualized, because it is visually still just like a 2D game, but
sure.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Also, a little surprised no Zeldas come up on either of our lists.
The old Zeldas are not good. I do not enjoy the old Zeldas.
I just be like, well, I actually didn't play them, so I can't tell you that.
Not until GBA was I like, okay, now I'm starting to get what this Zelda stuff is about. You know what I mean?
Even Link to the Past didn't do anything for you?
Nah.
No? What's going on there? I never played it, I don't think.
That was the one.
And everyone tells me that like that holds up okay. It looks nice. I don't know.
This might have been the one that I bounced on.
I gotta give these a go, but Zelda be hard. Like, you know, you gotta be thinking a lot. We're going back and forth. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I want all that.
I feel like
this has me in the mood though to boot up these mini consoles and just start like having a good time.
They're right here. They're ready now. You know.
Because also like, you know, I ain't trying to be that guy because I don't think I think there's great games all the time of varying degrees, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm out here covering all these games now, but like, there's some good games in the chamber that we gotta get ready.
No, for real.
Yeah. So, well, sorry, Zelda. Zelda is similar for me. Like, I didn't get into Zelda until like handheld Zelda and Wind Waker. So I'm actually like, just like, you know, I do consider myself a Zelda fan, but I actually don't have as much like. There are some big historical gaps there for me in Zelda. Like, I barely played what's that game I felt? Minish Cap? Loved Minish Cap. But I barely played that like a year ago, you know? Which granted, that was a phenomenal game.
Played it.
Yeah. Also very lost in there. But you know, I was streaming too. I was like, guys, we've gone through this room like 9 times. Like, I don't think I know where I'm going.
I think also for me at least, one of the reasons why Zelda has not been brought up. Not only that did I not enjoy the ones from this era, but also I know that Zelda's coming back.
Yeah.
Later generations. You know what I mean? Like I can almost guarantee there's going to be a Zelda somewhere in this time capsule.
Is our big contender then Super Mario Worlds for this because you hate Yoshi's Island? It's wild that you hate Yoshi's Island, but like I kind of get it because it's like it's kind of funky. So I feel like you hate like funky fun.
It. I am willing.
This is why you're not gonna like Donkey Kong because it has Funky Kong in it, and you're like, it's too fun. It's like too like goofy.
But he just seems weird.
Funky Kong?
Yeah.
You don't want to funk with the Kong? You can surf over the spikes.
He just seems a little weird.
He's just easy mode.
I'm down to try it again.
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is really great.
Yeah, I don't know when and if we'll boot up.
If you want a game, I would be down to play with you. Well, here's the thing. I want permission to be able to continue playing it if you end up hating it, and I also want you to be honest if you hate it. I would love to play the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD that just came out on the Switch. I think that got that name right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has 2-player if you're down, but I don't know if you're, you know what I mean? Like you don't be enjoying these.
I am down to try it, and if I want to bow out, you are more than happy. More than
welcome. It's Donkey Kong Country Returns HD.
Keep playing without
it came out January 16th. Kyle Hilliard was like, I've never felt more alive than playing this game.
Wow.
He didn't literally say that, but that's basically what his sentiment was. Another really funny thing, this is like getting so off topic, but there was a clip from the show where he was like, I feel like, I don't know what the context was of this because I wasn't on the episode, but he was like, Donkey Kong Country, like, I don't know, it just feels like a real place to me, which is so funny. Kyle, you're so funny for that. God. Yeah, Donkey Kong Country is great though. Shout out to Donkey Kong. Okay, N64.
I would say Game Boy. I think that came before N64.
Game
N64,
Boy.
I think was the last.
This is where, for me, Tetris rears its ugly head.
Tetris DX, but those are on my list. So if that's what you're bringing to the table, yeah, I think it was the color. So I looped Game Boy and Game Boy Color together.
Oh sure, is it just the same but it's in color?
I think DX was the Game Boy Color.
I will trust you in this one that is it basically the same but it's just in color because I don't want no nonsense. I feel like Game Boy Tetris was like no nonsense Tetris.
I'm on the NintendoLife.com list of all games. You can break them down by platform. An enhancement
of the original Game Boy Tetris. Added 2 game modes, Ultra lasting 3 minutes and versus CPU against computer, a profile save feature, and color graphics. In addition, the game's rotation system had a glitch which let players move any tetromino, except 0, holding upward by holding the direction against the wall or rotating it in the opposite direction.
I kind of remember that.
Okay, this is from Fandom, by the way, that I'm reading from. I mean, okay, like I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who this is. I've never seen her before. I'm not familiar with her. She looks really like fancy, smanchy. She's got all these background images.
DX was the one that I played, but on the Game Boy was the one I had because it had the Game Boy Color. I was like, oh yeah, colors, yeah, sure, let's go.
You are such a little. You're exactly why I didn't like that little Game Boy Color. You're such a Game Boy Color elitist.
I also played the original on the Game Boy.
Oh wow, okay, Moneybag. You had a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color at the same time. All that money just okay. Also, you need to reveal your Game Boy Color perspective history because
in my head, I didn't know that the Game Boy Color was like just a evolution, a slim kind of sequel to the Game Boy. In my head, it was like, oh no, the Game Boy is one platform, and then the Game Boy Color is like a separate platform.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until you told me like a week ago, a couple days ago, that like, oh no, yeah, like though you could, I knew you could play Game Boy Colors on, or I know you could play Game Boy games on the color. But to me, that was just like, oh yeah, that was just backwards compatible. Like,
yeah, no. Though to be clear for the audience and for you, even though you already know this because I told you off stream or off the episode, it did have some exclusives, so it wasn't like it didn't. So that is kind of like a unique thing to like that era versus like the PS4 Pro. It's like that's the same console. This is the same console, but it did have some exclusives. It had like maybe 80 or something. A lot of them, frankly, being like not that interesting. It's not exactly like they had like an exclusive Mario or something. I mean, maybe they did, but it wasn't like 2D. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, Mario goes to the grocery store or some crap, which not gonna lie, I would want that game. I'm curious if DX was like exclusive to the color because it was in color. I imagine yes, right?
Let me see.
I have a hard time finding like the platform. I feel like
it has it like on the cover, like in the corner. It'll be like
it says now.
For color.
Well, it says now in color. It says original Tetris now in color. I imagine this was only a Game Boy Color game, which is another reason that I didn't play it. So, I just had the Game Boy. I got a Game Boy Color as an adult. When I like rebought the system or whatever.
Really?
But I didn't have the color because you could only get so many consoles, and I wasn't about to waste a console request on a console that just had color in like a couple of games that no one cared about, minus like, I don't know, that Pokemon pinball game that everyone liked or whatever. But I did resent people like you who could have the color. It's like, I don't know, like, oh, I got the Game Boy Color. It's like,
hey, you get that purple, that Nintendo purple,
like, okay,
or that clear, when they had the clear classic console.
So though good. In your defense, as a late console adopter by necessity of the adults in my life, I was able to get the Game Boy Pocket though as my Game Boy, while my brother Edwin
had color.
No, I didn't have color. It
really?
was just thin. Yeah, but it was way smaller than the Game Boy original. Have you ever held an original Game Boy?
Yeah, that was the one I played on.
Matt, really? Yeah. Okay, well, I was like, okay, there's broke people out here. So yeah, it did feel very luxurious to have the Game Boy Pocket instead of the Game Boy original. But then the color came out, and I was humbled again. I was like, we should live in a society that doesn't have classes. Like, I was just that the Game Boy Color is what radicalized me, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I guess I will accept your bougie little DX thing. But honestly, like, I want that regular.
I mean,
regular.
We can just do regular. I mean, I want
that regular. I want the people's Tetris.
That's fine. That's cool.
I want this Tetris DX. Like, yeah, I want regular Tetris. All right, that's mine. I got Tetris. You got Tetris. What do you got next?
Mine, to be honest, I'm just gonna lump all of them together and just say one of the Pokemons, either a yellow red or a crystal silver.
Oh,
because those were those were like
a crystal silver. What?
So Pokemon Red and Blue came out, and then later they did Yellow, which is like, their variant, their combined. Silver and Gold came out, and then Crystal was like the later variant where you can get like.
Was that on the Game Boy though?
Yeah.
Game Boy had a lot of games.
Game Boy Color. I played it.
I can't Game Boy Color, man. I can't stand this Game Boy Color. That might have been exclusive to the Game Boy Color.
I don't think it. Well, not according to the cover.
Oh, okay. Really? Because Google says platforms Game Boy Color and Nintendo 3DS, but maybe that's wrong. But I mean, the box art that I see says color only.
Oh, see, the one I'm looking at doesn't. So maybe it is.
I don't know what's going on. The point is, the Game Boy Color is a mistake. Look at how it's tearing this family apart.
So for me, I'm bringing to the table just one of those, ideally four. However you want to slice and dice it.
Oh my
whatever
God,
you think is the best.
So messy.
They're all the
what
same.
Do you think is the What do you think is the best one? They're all the same.
Probably Crystal, because it is literally like all of the it's you get the second gen, and then after you beat it, you get the first gen. It's the better, like the best version of like the silver gold, kind of like they combine things there. It's got Suicune on the cover, which is pretty cool. Yeah, no, it was my favorite. It probably.
I guess we got to pick this thing, but I gotta be honest, I'm lost in this and from the refollowing sauce. I'm like, wait, this one is like, it's like the better version of a better version of a better version. Okay,
no, it is the again like how they Well, I mean,
this is taking it so far.
Do you know like the Ruby Sapphire?
Yeah,
and then
I know
Emerald
that
came
stuff.
out? Yeah, it's like the Emerald, where it's like the original 2 came out, and then they do a third one that like sort of combines the best Pokemon and elements of the 2, where you can like usually get both the legendaries.
Well, Crystal is like the
whatever.
Yellow to the second gen, basically.
You can think of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You can think of it like that.
Well, I mean, I think by way of, I don't think I played Crystal. Surprise!
Yeah,
I'm like, what is this? I mean, I've seen like this game before. The cover art is very cool. What's the name of the Pokemon again?
Suicune.
Suicune. Okay. Yeah, he was the homie Suicune. Yeah, I remember seeing this guy behind the fucking ivory tower of the Game Boy Color and shit. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that was exclusive to Game Boy Color. So again, you guys had some exclusives, but I wouldn't go as far as to say like, it's like half of a new platform.
Gotcha.
Because it's like kind of like, I don't know, it was weird. It was a weird time.
No, that's fair.
And I resented you for it. I did. I really did. I hated all you kids. I was like, fuck these kids.
Yeah. What's your next Game Boy game?
I mean, we're in the same deal, right? I got Pokemon
okay.
Yellow in there. I think, just based on, it's not true anymore, but for a while, every new Pokemon game was better than the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like on that note, Pokemon Crystal would be cool. But I feel like Pokemon Yellow, do you have any follower Pokemon in Pokemon Crystal? Because honestly, like having Pikachu follow you was like pretty
I think
goated.
Until that, was it the DS one? Was it like Black and White or something where they had you could choose a Pokemon to follow you? Maybe it was earlier than Black and White, but Pokemon Yellow was like, that was exclusive, that a Pokemon follows you and it's Pikachu was like exclusive to that for a long time.
How much better is Crystal than Yellow to you?
I mean, I would say probably very.
Okay, well, we're probably going with Crystal, but Crystal's so like soulless. Like Yellow is like what people think of.
Yellow is the one that like people.
But maybe we should speak for the forgotten Pokemon. I feel like no one talks about Crystal. That's why I'm like, what is this? Again, I knew it vaguely, but I'm just like, and again, I didn't like get every gen either. I think I did have that gen, but I didn't have Crystal because it was exclusive to color. So it's like, okay.
Did you play like Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
No, I never played those ones, and everyone says those are like the best ones.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, missing that. I played with the Ruby Sapphire stuff. I only got to that because I did the DS or 3DS version when they did the Alpha
and
Omega Ruby Sapphire, which those were incredible. So cool.
Yeah.
Love those games. I was like, wow, I wish I remembered. I wish I had taken notes on those games more because they had some features that were really cool that I remember were like not really replicated before, but I can't fully remember. It's like you had like a phone and the phone could like ping Pokemon. There was like a weird like the way they did finding Pokemon in the wild. Like it had like some type of thing added. It's like a quality of life thing. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I went to play a little bit, and by a little bit I mean like an hour of X and Y, and was like, why don't they have like what I just played? But I'm like, I guess it's nice that we're in France. Like, I don't know, but like it wasn't really enough. I want to go back and play that too, though, because I think it was probably pretty decent. So Pokemon gets a little spotty for me too, but it's funny because I was there like right at the start, and then I kind of like stumbled a bit in my journey, and
then you came back
in Pokemon, and then I'm back again, and now I'm kind of like, you know what?
Do I need to be here?
Now that I look at it, this bitch kind of ugly. Like, I just feel really burned by Scarlet and Violet. But
that's fair.
Sometimes people stumble in their journey.
Zaz's gonna be here to save.
Yeah, I mean, Arceus eats. Again, I'm a what's the one everyone hated? Sword and Shield. I'm a Sword and Shield defender till I die. You will never see me drag that game. I'll still critique it. It has problems for sure, but people were like, no, everyone got so. Dexit, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys are ignoring like a really good Pokemon game. Okay.
No, it's fair.
Alchemy's in this game. Get it together. Get it together. Okay, so Crystal is probably a good one. My last one is Super Mario Land 6 Golden Coins.
I knew that was gonna come up for you. I never played it, so I don't have.
Oh
I don't have good or bad to say about it.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately,
I kind of feel like you'd hate it, if I'm being honest.
I probably would if I had to guess.
And you hate fun. This game...
Is it fun, or did you just have fun playing it? You know what I mean?
Both. I think genuinely both. And at least like one or two lists on the internet half agrees with me. I feel like it comes up a little bit. So Super Mario Land 6 Golden Coins. I'll try to keep it brief because I went pretty long on Yoshi's Island, but it's nice to like have games that like some of these are so old that it's like it was fun and you don't have a lot of Super Mario 6 Golden Coins is one that I have played recently that I've played multiple times. It's a really great time and it is on the Nintendo Online service. So if you have that, I'd highly encourage you to go check it out. It's funny because I do a lot of reaction streams to things and you know one thing that like the haters will say is like you're not like excited about them being like a release date for Zabumafu 3. I'm like, I don't know, like it's cool to know it, but like whatever. When they showed Super Mario Land 6 Golden Coins, I was like, yeah, let's go. Like I was like, this would be like my, you know how like on the documentaries they'll be like, this is how fans reacted to Last of Us 2. And they're like, oh my God. Like that was me, but for this fucking Super Mario 6 Golden Coins. Cause I feel like this is the unsung banger of Mario's history. This is the most, it does come up in some lists, so I'm not going to say it's like completely slept on, but this is like the most slept on Mario game. You want to talk about fun transformations? Meet Bunny Mario. He goes, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. His little ears, they flip and they flap. When you end the levels, you ring a little bell.
Yeah.
And that's fun. But also, like, the thing I really love about this game is it's weird as fuck. And I do think the platforming is good. Like, to just throw that out there. Like, it controls and feels as good as, like, what you'd expect from a Mario. But this game is I feel like one of the only Mario games that embraces the existence of our real lived reality in the context of Mario. What do I mean by that? You fight the three little pigs in this game. Like,
oh, really?
Yes.
All right. That's
you
cool.
go into a world called Mario World where it's maybe it's not called Mario World. I have to look it up. 6 golden coins. Oh God, I can't spell worlds. It's like Mario World or Mario Land or something. And there is like, it's a big animatronic, like giant Mario statue that you're traversing. And the one that's on his crotch is a ball world. Like, it's weird. You fight ants in this game. You know how you hate bugs?
Yeah.
You can kill a bunch of ants in this game. Also, and I hate to spoil the game too much, at one point he goes to outer space. I'm not joking. It's got like the coolest, weirdest stuff. There's a legally distinct Jason killer that you also fight in this game. Like, it is bonkers. And it's got a lot of like funky, innovative stuff. There's also the game that I believe introduces Wario as a character.
Cool.
He takes over Mario's castle.
That's cool.
Takes the M, flips that shit upside down. He says, fuck with me now. So you got to get the coins. What's the game? You get the 6 golden coins to open the castle. The twist, if you get a game over, all the coins go back to those bosses and you have to refight the bosses. Now, what I did with this challenge was I said, I'm going to grind for lives so that I don't have to worry about the game over. So I'd always beat this game with like 100 plus lives. And like, I'm petty. So if I get down to like, or maybe not 100, but you know, if I got down to like 20 lives, I'm like, we're going back to grind because I'm not dealing with this. Also, the boss fight against Wario, low-key, like, I felt like that shit was hard as fuck. Like, I don't know. It's been a couple of years since I replayed it, but I remember replaying it on my Game Boy Pocket because it wasn't on the, I don't even think the Switch existed when I replayed it. And I was like, damn, this shit hard. And like a lot of Mario games, it's pretty short. So a lot of older Mario games rather. But yeah, this is the unsung hero of Mario. It's really, really freaking cool. It's secretly the coolest Mario game to ever exist.
We're not looking to build the coolest list of coolest games.
It's also really good, though.
We are trying to build a time capsule that encompasses gaming.
I like to remember that games can be fun. So
sure, yeah.
And I think 6 golden coins reminds you of that. It's the thing. But who's our front runner here? Is it Tetris? Tetris and a Pokemon, maybe? Tetris and Crystal?
I mean, I'd be happy with either one of those. I think if we...
And this is the problem. 6 golden coins always gets forgotten in the history. They want to erase our history.
I say for time, we maybe cap it here and let's try and lock in some of these platforms. How's that sound?
We can do that. But now I hung up the PlayStation for nothing.
Well, it'll be back next time.
Yeah, the PlayStation will return. Okay, so we got NES, SNES, and Game Boy. Okay. I remember what our goal is.
It is we're trying to create a time capsule that kind of encompasses like what gaming is, where it's been, where it's going,
okay,
all the things that have happened, using just one game from each platform.
So because we want diversity, I'm guessing we don't want 2 Marios or 3 Marios, which we could we could have an all Mario run. Mario kind of dominated.
So imagine like almost like we're resetting the world, and these are all the games that we're gonna have to go off of. Like we're wiping the memory of games from the universe. So like we're starting over from scratch. No one's played a game before, but these are the games that like will be introduced. And,
I'm torn on this. I think the only one that I feel confident we can lock in based on our discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, Super Mario World.
Super Mario World. I can lock that in.
Okay, yeah, I agree. So here's the question. Back to your Tetris thing. Do we throw a whacker Tetris in just to get some Pokemon in there?
A Pokemon in there. Well, without getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, do you see do you think Pokemon deserves to be in this time capsule?
Of these consoles?
I think the gacha in it, like the collectathon
I think
Pokemon
generally
is something that I would like to be in the time capsule.
And I do think old Pokemon is foundational, even though it's admittedly, again, I think the best ones are probably like, what are the ones you named? The one that you go crazy for? Like, it's like gold,
like
crystal,
Emerald, Sapphire, Ruby. Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald, I think is like where it
there's another one that people
like they nailed that.
A lot of people do the Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
A lot of people do that too. That's like it's a newer version. It's yeah.
How much Pokemon do you think we're gonna be putting on this list generally though? Because we might have to
be honest. Pokemon. I think once we get to later consoles, other stuff is just gonna totally blow Pokemon out of the water. Well, think about one. Pokemon is limited to only Nintendo consoles, which is only 4 more, and I can think of easily at least 3 other games on each of those platforms. That is a better time than the Pokemon. Maybe like the DS. Pokemon might come back for DS. I can see that, but it ain't coming back for and maybe GBA, maybe, but it ain't coming back for the like home consoles for sure.
It's tough because Tetris on NES is just so much less enjoyable than Tetris on the Game Boy.
I mean,
like I feel like playing Tetris on the NES, like if you had to do it today, you'd be like, yeah, I can make do with this. This is cool with that stiff ass, square ass controller. But then if I give it to you on the Game Boy, you'd be like, yeah, this is a lot better.
Well, here's the question: say we do Tetris on Game Boy, what would your NES pick be then? Bros 3?
I guess just Bros 3. Just more Mario. It's a lot of Mario.
I mean, do we? I am not. This is a non-leading question, but like, do we want to diversify beyond that?
I do, but it's just like a whack. It's just a whacker Tetris.
Like, I think because we already have Mario World, I would even be down to put Donkey Kong above on the NES, or even Metroid, because that is. Again, I don't know if Metroid's coming back either. I don't know.
I'm saying Metro for that Metro Fusion, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Metro Fusion's like my favorite Metroid game, yeah.
But you already know that's not making it.
Why? Who's to say that it can't?
That is fair.
Do you have a game better than Metroid Fusion?
On the Switch? Yeah.
On the GBA.
Oh, sorry, GBA. You did say Fusion.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, we'll get to it later, but it's like...
I mean... You know what? You might have a point. All right, maybe
Fusion. They fused into her body, Isaiah. She was one with the Metroid.
Right. No, that's fair.
Jinx.
Man, so either Bros 3 and Tetris or Pokemon and Tetris.
I guess we should probably just do Tetris and Pokemon, but it just sucks to like make Tetris beyond that. Like, here's the thing.
But it's still just as good.
I know, but like. Well, also I think you can only rotate in one direction. I'm pretty sure.
That's still it is good, leaps but like and bounds better than.
I know the controller's just so bad.
Almost every other game we're gonna come.
I know the controller's just so bad. It's so sharp. It's a really sharp.
Well, again,
controller.
It's not necessarily.
You have to play it on there.
Yeah. You can play in a third party.
Yeah, I guess.
You play it on the mini console, and you just plug in something to like USB, and you're good there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do Tetris for NES.
So we got Tetris for NES. Super Mario World for SNES, and we're going Pokemon for Game Boy. Do you want to do Yellow? I'm fine doing Yellow, Crystal, literally any.
It's tough
Red.
Because I wish You know what? Maybe let's do yellow, because I feel like yellow.
I think yellow
Yellow's
is
more
probably
representative
better.
of like the vibes.
Yes, I think the whole like that put not Pikachu on the map because they made it because Pikachu was popular, but it's like we got that yellow Game Boy to come out. We got the Pikachu, Let's Go Pikachu N64 version because Pikachu was popular. Like it was the birth of the Nintendo leaning into the popularity.
I think also though
Pikachu.
Pokemon Yellow to me is a great representation of one of the core things that makes Pokemon what it is, which is that you love the Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think the reason that so many Pokemon likes kind of fail, or they at least fail to capture what makes Pokemon is that like the creatures are really lovable. You really bond. They're your friends. It's like, and Pikachu was my friend, and he followed me.
Yeah.
To the depths of hell.
He learned to love you over time. You could like check in with him, and so it was great.
But yeah. And they got great sounds too. I love the noise on the
gritty speaker noises.
Yeah, it's so good. Great sprite.
Also, talk about soundtrack, man.
Also,
Pokemon has just some of the best soundtracks in time.
You were very dismissive of the Yoshi's Island soundtrack. What's going on there?
I never listened to it because I never played the game.
It's so good, Isaiah.
I wouldn't know. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't know. Maybe after this we'll do a culture exchange.
It's really good.
I'll tell you about Pokemon. You'll play Pokemon Crystal, and I'll play Yoshi's Island next to you, and we'll.
My game's way longer than yours. God, how long is it to beat Pokemon Crystal?
Hey man, who knows how long it'll take me to play? All right,
29 hours. What's the quality of life on that thing look like? Is the thing? Ugh.
Look. I'm not saying we gotta finish these games. I'm just saying we'll boot them up. We'll play with them. We'll see what it's like.
Again, if you just get better at Yoshi's Island, you won't have to take the baby as much. I feel like a hot take. People complaining about the baby. You're telling yourself you're not that good at the game. I don't know. Yeah, such a happy little game.
And then Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy.
Yeah. So reading in the picks, we got for our console time capsule, attempting to represent what it means to play console across the ages. We have Tetris for the NES, Super Mario World for the SNES, Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy.
Locking in part 1. I'm sure you will, but let us know. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube for games we missed or choices you would have made. Know that there's also still like 11 other platforms we got to go through, so there's only so many games we could pick, and we're only picking one per platform, so let us know your thoughts down below.